The first sound Lisa Grant heard after nearly a million years was the gentle hum of machines coming back to life. Her eyes opened slowly, the world around her blurry and strange. Cold mist filled the air as her cryopod finished its warming cycle. She tried to move her fingers and felt a sharp pain shoot through her body. Every muscle ached like she had been sleeping for far too long. "Welcome back, Dr. Grant," a calm voice said from speakers hidden in the walls. "You have been in cryo sleep for 847,863 years. Please remain still while your body adjusts." Lisa's mind struggled to process what she was hearing. Almost a million years? She remembered going into the cryopods just before the great solar flare was supposed to hit Earth. The plan was to sleep for maybe 100 years until the radiation levels dropped. But a million years? Something had gone very wrong. "Atlas?" she whispered, her voice rough and dry. "Is that you?" "Yes, Dr. Grant, I am the automated Terran life assurance system. I have been monitoring your sleep and the outside galaxy while you rested. There is much to discuss." Lisa slowly sat up in her pod, looking around the white room. Other pods lined the walls, their lights blinking green. Good, that meant the others were still alive. The room looked exactly as she remembered it, deep inside Europa's ice. But something felt different. The air itself seemed to carry an electric charge of change. "How many of us made it?" she asked. "Of the original 10,000 humans placed in cryosleep, 9,412 have survived. The revival process will take several days to complete safely." Lisa felt relief wash over her. They had lost some people, but most had made it through the long sleep. She climbed out of her pod carefully, her legs shaking. The gravity felt lighter. Then she remembered, but that made sense. They were still on Europa, Jupiter's moon. "Atlas, what happened to Earth? Why did we sleep so long?" I was quiet for a moment. "Dr. Grant, the situation is complex. The great solar flare did occur as predicted, but it was far worse than our scientists calculated. Earth's surface became uninhabitable for much longer than expected. However, that is not why you slept for so long." Lisa walked to a nearby chair and sat down. Her body was getting stronger, but her mind was still catching up. "What do you mean?" "The automated systems were designed to wake you when Earth became safe again. However, approximately 200,000 years ago, I detected something unexpected. Earth is no longer empty." "What do you mean it's not empty?" Lisa felt her heart start beating faster. "Are there people there?" "No, Dr. Grant, there are aliens." The word hit her like a physical blow. Aliens. After a million years of sleep, humanity had finally met other intelligent life. But where were they from? How long had they been on Earth? "TLAS, show me what you know." The wall in front of her lit up with images and text. Lisa saw pictures of strange buildings on Earth's surface, ships that looked nothing like human technology, and beings that walked on two legs but were definitely not human. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking crystals, and some seemed to be made of pure energy. "These beings call themselves the Galactic Federation," Atlas explained. "They are made up of 12 different alien species. They have been using Earth as a monument to what they call extinct aggressive species. They believe humans died out during the solar flare." Lisa stared at the images. "They think we're extinct?" "Yes, from what I have learned by monitoring their communications, they have been studying human ruins for hundreds of thousands of years. They use our history as an example of what happens when a species becomes too violent and aggressive." "Aggressive?" Lisa felt confused. "We weren't that aggressive. We were just trying to survive." "That is where the problem lies, Dr. Grant. Every species in this Galactic Federation evolved as prey animals on their homeworlds. They developed intelligence to hide from predators, not to hunt them. Humans evolved as hunters. We learned to think by chasing and outsmarting our prey." Lisa began to understand. To these aliens, humanity must seem like monsters. Species that evolved to run and hide would naturally fear species that evolved to chase and catch. How many alien species are there in the galaxy? The Federation contains 12 species spread across approximately 40,000 star systems. They have been the dominant force in this region of the galaxy for over 600,000 years, and they all evolved as prey animals. Every single one, Dr. Grant. They have built their entire civilization around avoiding conflict and maintaining peace. They have not fought a war in over 200,000 years. A loud hiss from across the room made Lisa turn around. Another cryopod was opening. A tall man with gray hair sat up slowly, coughing and shaking his head. "Jake Morrison," Lisa said, recognizing the military commander. "Welcome back." Jake looked around the room with sharp eyes, his military training kicking in even after 1,000,000 years. "Dr. Grant, how long were we out?" "Almost 1,000,000 years, Jake, and we have a situation." Over the next hour, more humans began waking up. Katie Bell, their best engineer, emerged from her pod looking confused but alert. Alex Rivera, their diplomat, woke up asking questions about what had happened to the world. Each person had to be told the same incredible truth about their situation. As the humans gathered in the main room, ETLAS continued sharing information about the current galaxy. The Federation had divided up all the known space between the 12 species. The Zephyrians controlled most of the trade routes, the Vorthak handled technology and manufacturing, and the Nexari managed population control with their hive mind abilities. "So what you're telling us," Jake said, "is that we're outnumbered by billions to one, we're centuries behind in technology, and they already think we're dead?" "That is correct, Commander Morrison. And if they find out we're alive?" Atlas was quiet for a moment. Based on their historical records and communications, they would likely consider humanity a threat to galactic peace. Their entire civilization is built on the idea that intelligent species should avoid conflict at all costs. Katie looked up from the technical displays she was studying. "But that's not necessarily bad, right? Maybe we can work with them." "The problem," Alex said, "is that they've been using us as a cautionary tale for hundreds of thousands of years. They teach their children about the dangerous humans who destroyed themselves with violence. We're basically the boogeyman in their bedtime stories." Lisa felt the weight of their situation settling on her shoulders. Humanity had survived the great solar flare, slept through the rise of a galactic civilization, and now faced a future where they were both unknown and feared. "Hey, TLAS, are there any other humans out there? Any other groups that might have survived?" "I have detected no other human signals in the galaxy, Dr. Grant. You appear to be the last of your species." The room fell silent. 9,000 humans. The last remnant of Earth's children, sitting in a hidden base on Europa while an entire galaxy of aliens controlled the stars that once belonged to humanity's dreams. "So what do we do?" Katie asked. Lisa looked around at the faces of her fellow survivors. They were scientists, engineers, diplomats, and soldiers. They had been chosen for this mission because they were the best humanity had to offer. Now they faced a challenge no human had ever imagined. "We learn," she said finally. "We figure out how this galaxy works, what these aliens are really like, and how we fit into it. We've been asleep for 1,000,000 years, but we're still human. We still have that spark that made us explorers and dreamers." Jake nodded slowly. "And if they see us as a threat?" Lisa looked at the images of the Federation species on the wall. Creatures that had spent millions of years learning to hide and cooperate, now faced with the return of a species that had learned to hunt and adapt. Then we show them that being human doesn't mean being their enemy. We show them that predators and prey can work together if they're willing to try. The awakening was complete. Humanity had returned to a galaxy that had forgotten them, feared them, and moved on without them. But they were still human, still driven by the same curiosity and determination that had once made them dream of reaching the stars. Now they had to prove they deserved to be among them. Captain Zix-9 of the Vorthak Crystalline Collective had been patrolling the outer edges of Federation space for over 300 years. His crystalline body resonated with the gentle hum of his ship's engines as he conducted another routine sweep of the dead zones. These areas had been empty for so long that most Federation captains considered patrol duty here a punishment, assignment. The Sol system was supposed to be completely lifeless. It had been classified as a monument zone for nearly 800,000 years, a place where Federation species could visit to learn about the extinct humans and their dangerous ways. Zix-9 had visited the system himself many times, studying the ruins on Earth's surface and the abandoned settlements on Mars. But today, something was different. His ship's sensors were picking up energy readings that should not exist. The patterns were familiar yet impossible. They matched the energy signatures in the Federation's historical databases, the ones left behind by human technology before the Great Extinction. Zix-9's crystalline form flickered with confusion. His species communicated through harmonic resonance, and right now his thoughts were creating a discordant melody that hurt to hear. Dead systems did not suddenly show signs of life, especially not signs of human life. He ran the scans 3 more times, each result showing the same impossible readings. The energy was coming from Europa, Jupiter's 4th moon. The Federation had surveyed that moon countless times over the centuries. It was nothing but ice and rock, with no signs of any technology or life. Control, this is Patrol Ship 779. ZYX-9 transmitted back to Federation headquarters. I am detecting unusual energy readings from the Sol system. Request permission to investigate. The response came back within minutes. 779, are you certain of your readings? That system has been dead for over 800,000 years. Confirmed, Control. Energy patterns match historical human technology. Signatures, this should not be possible. There was a long pause before Control responded. 779, you are ordered to maintain distance and continue monitoring. Do not approach the system. We are sending your data to the Federation Council immediately. Zix-9 felt his crystalline body vibrate with worry. In his 300 years of service, he had never heard Control sound so concerned. The Federation prided itself on being calm and logical in all situations. If they were worried, then something was very wrong. Meanwhile, on the Federation capital world of Concordia, the emergency session of the Galactic Council was causing more chaos than had been seen in thousands of years. Representatives from all 12 species sat around the massive circular chamber, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of confusion and fear. Chancellor Vron of the Zephyrians stood at the center podium, her tall, elegant form trembling slightly as she addressed the assembly. The Zephyrians were known for their calm and logical approach to problems, but even she seemed shaken by the news. Fellow council members, she began, her voice carrying across the chamber through the universal translators. We are facing a situation that our civilization has never encountered. For the first time in over 600,000 years, we may be dealing with the return of an extinct species. President Kala of the Nexari spoke next, her words echoing from thousands of small creatures that made up her collective consciousness. The Nexari have run 847,000 probability calculations. In 99.97% of scenarios, this energy signature indicates active human technology. The humans may not be extinct. A wave of panic swept through the chamber. The Draconis Compact representatives, large reptilian beings known for their military expertise, immediately began discussing defense strategies. The peaceful Altarians, who looked like tall, graceful birds, called for calm and scientific analysis, but it was Dr. Quillix of the Altarians who provided the most disturbing information. She had spent her entire career studying human ruins and artifacts, and she knew more about human history than any other being in the Federation. Council members, she said, her melodious voice somehow carrying a note of dread, I have been studying human remains and technology for over 200 years. I have always believed that the humans were far more adaptable than we gave them credit for. Their historical records show survival in conditions that would kill most Federation species. She activated a holographic display showing human settlements on dozens of different worlds. Look at this evidence. Humans lived on planets with toxic atmospheres in the vacuum of space, underwater, and even in the hearts of asteroids. They were not just intelligent, they were incredibly resourceful. Chancellor Vron looked at the display with growing concern. Dr. Quillix, what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we may have been wrong about the human extinction. The great solar flare that supposedly killed them was severe, but humans had already shown they could survive in space. It is possible they found a way to wait out the disaster. The chamber fell silent. For 800,000 years, the Federation had built their entire understanding of galactic history on the assumption that humans had died out because they were too aggressive to survive. Their children learned about the dangerous humans who had destroyed themselves with violence and war. Supreme Commander Vex of the Draconis Compact stood up, his massive form casting a shadow over the chamber. If the humans survived, then we have a problem. Every species in this Federation evolved as prey animals. We developed intelligence to hide from predators, to cooperate, to avoid conflict. Humans evolved as predators. They learned to think by hunting and killing. That is exactly the problem. President Kala agreed. Our entire civilization is built around avoiding conflict and maintaining peace. We have not fought a war in over 200,000 years because we learned that cooperation is more efficient than conflict. But humans never learned that lesson, Dr. Quillix said quietly. Their entire history is filled with wars, conquests, and territorial expansion. Even when they reached space, they continued to fight amongst themselves. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued for immediate military action. Others called for peaceful first contact. A few suggested that they should simply ignore the situation and hope it would resolve itself. But it was Ambassador Therix of the Altarians who asked the most important question. What if we are wrong about what humans represent? What if their aggressive nature is not a threat, but something we need? The chamber looked at her in confusion. What do you mean? Chancellor Vron asked. Look at our civilization, Thyrex said. For 800,000 years, we have been safe, peaceful, and stable. But we have also been stagnant. We have not explored beyond our current borders because we are too afraid of the unknown. We have not pushed the boundaries of science because we fear the consequences of failure. She gestured to the star map showing Federation space. There are entire regions of the galaxy we have never explored because they are too dangerous. There are scientific discoveries we have never made because we are too cautious to take risks. What if humans could help us overcome our limitations? Supreme Commander Vex growled his disagreement. Or they could destroy everything we have built. Humans think differently than we do. They take risks that we would never consider. They fight when we would negotiate. They explore when we would stay safe. Exactly, Thyrex replied. They do things we cannot do. That could be valuable. The debate raged on, but the decision was already being made by events beyond their control. Captain Zix-9 was reporting increased activity in the Sol system. Whatever the humans were doing, they were not staying hidden anymore. Chancellor Vron called for order. We need to make a decision. Do we attempt peaceful first contact or do we treat this as a potential threat to galactic security? The vote was close. 7 species voted for military preparedness, while 5 voted for peaceful contact. The deciding vote came from the Nexari Collective, who had been running calculations throughout the entire debate. The Nexari have determined that the risk of human aggression is too great to ignore, President Kala announced. We vote for military preparedness. The chamber erupted in chaos as the decision was made. For the first time in over 200,000 years, the Galactic Federation was preparing for war. Ships that had been used only for exploration and peaceful patrol were being retrofitted with weapons. Military commanders who had never fought a real battle were being called to active duty, but even as the Federation prepared for conflict, some members continued to argue for peace. Dr. Quillix and Ambassador Thyrex began organizing a group of species who wanted to attempt communication with the humans. Before any military action was taken, we are about to make the biggest mistake in galactic history, Thyrex said to her supporters. We are letting fear drive us to become the very thing we have always avoided being. Captain Zix-9 continued his patrol at the edge of the Sol system, watching as the energy readings from Europa grew stronger each day. His ship's sensors were now detecting multiple sources of activity. Whatever the humans were doing, they were expanding their operations. He had been ordered to maintain distance and report any changes. But he could not shake the feeling that he was watching the beginning of something that would change the galaxy forever. The humans were waking up, and the Federation was preparing for war, but war was something the Federation had never really understood. Commander Jake Morrison stood in the control room of the New Horizon, humanity's first ship to leave Europa in almost 1,000,000 years. The vessel was a patchwork of old human technology and new systems that Katie Bell had built from salvaged materials. It was not pretty, but it flew, and that was all that mattered right now. "Jake, we're picking up something on the sensors," Katie called from her engineering station. "It's big, and it's moving toward us?" Jake looked at the display screen. A ship unlike anything in human records was approaching from the outer edge of the solar system. It was elegant and smooth, with curves that seemed to flow like water. Human. Ships were built for function, with sharp angles and practical designs. This ship looked like it had been grown rather than built. "ATLAS, are you seeing this?" Jake asked through his communication link back to Europa. "Yes, Commander Morrison. The ship matches Federation design patterns in our database. It appears to be a scout vessel, likely from the Nexari Collective." Dr. Grant's voice came through the speakers. "Jake, this could be our chance for first contact. Maybe we can explain our situation peacefully." Jake was not so sure. His military training told him to be careful when meeting unknown forces. The approaching ship was larger than the New Horizon, and they had no idea what weapons it might carry. But they were also outnumbered by billions to one in this galaxy. If they were going to survive, they needed to try talking first. "All right, people. Let's see what these aliens want. Katie, are our systems ready?" "As ready as they can be with the time we had," Katie replied. "The ship will hold together, but don't ask me to do anything too crazy." The Federation scout ship was piloted by Captain Thylan of the Nexari. Unlike the individual consciousness of humans, Thylan was part of a collective mind that shared thoughts and decisions across thousands of small creatures. To the Nexari, this made them efficient and logical. They could process information faster than any individual could. Thylan's ship approached the human vessel according to standard Federation first contact protocols. The Nexari had developed these procedures over hundreds of thousands of years of peaceful meetings with new species. They involved careful positioning, slow movements, and constant communication to avoid any misunderstandings, but the Nexari had never encountered a species like humans before. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Thalen of the Galactic Federation," the alien transmitted on multiple frequencies. "We come in peace and wish to establish communication with your species." Jake heard the message through the New Horizons translation. "Systems." The words were clear, but something about the transmission felt wrong. It was not coming from one source, but from multiple points around their ship. Jake's military instincts kicked in. "Katie, are you seeing this? There are multiple small ships out there, not just one big one." Katie checked her sensors. "You're right, the main ship has launched about 20 smaller vessels. They're spreading out around us." To Captain Thylan and the Nexari, this was normal procedure. The small ships were part of their communication network, each one carrying part of the collective consciousness. They spread out to get better sensor readings and to show that they were not trying to hide anything, but to Jake Morrison, it looked like a classic military encirclement. The main ship was the distraction while the smaller ships moved into attack positions. He had seen this tactic used in human warfare many times. "Jake, what are you doing?" Lisa's voice came through the CUM system as she watched from Europa. "They're surrounding us, Lisa. This is a standard attack formation." "Maybe that's just how they communicate," Alex Rivera suggested. "We should try to talk to them." Jake wanted to trust the diplomat's judgment, but his military training was screaming warnings. The alien ships were moving in patterns that reminded him of pack hunters. Each small ship was taking a position that would give them a clear shot at the new horizon while blocking escape routes. Captain Thylan, this is Commander Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon. We request that your smaller ships return to your main vessel before we continue communications. The Nexari Collective was confused by this request. Their small ships were communication relays, not weapons. They were trying to establish better contact, not threaten the humans. But the human response seemed hostile and unreasonable. Human vessel, our support ships are part of our communication system. They are not weapons. We are following standard peaceful contact procedures. Jake looked at his tactical display. The alien ships were still moving into what looked like attack positions. Whether they called them communication ships or not, they were in the perfect spots to destroy the New Horizon if they wanted to. Captain Thylan, we consider your current formation to be threatening. Please withdraw your ships to a safe distance. The Nexari Collective discussed this among themselves at the speed of thought. The humans were acting aggressively and making demands that made no sense. Why would communication ships be threatening? Why were the humans being so hostile during a peaceful first contact? Human vessel, we do not understand your concern. We are following established protocols for peaceful contact between species. Jake made his decision. If the aliens wanted to play games, he would show them that humans were not easy prey. He ordered Katie to begin evasive maneuvers, just like they had practiced back when humanity still controlled space. Katie, take us into a defensive pattern. Show them we're not just going to sit here and let them surround us. Katie fired the engines and put the New Horizon into a complex series of movements that human pilots had developed over centuries of space combat. The ship twisted and turned, changing direction unpredictably while maintaining its general position. To Captain Thalen and the Nexari, the human ship's movements were completely insane. It was wasting energy, following no logical pattern, and putting itself at risk of collision with debris. No Federation species had ever flown in such a reckless manner, but Jake was not being reckless. He was following human tactical doctrine that had been developed by a species that evolved to hunt. The unpredictable movements would make it hard for the aliens to target them while showing that humans were not defenseless. The situation got worse when Jake decided to take the initiative. Instead of waiting for the aliens to make the first move, he ordered Katie to accelerate directly toward the main Federation ship. Jake, what are you doing? Lisa asked from Europa. I'm showing them that we're not afraid. If they want to threaten us, they need to know we'll fight back. To Jake, this was a defensive move. He was closing the distance to make it harder for the surrounding ships to attack without risking their main vessel. It was a classic human tactic. When outnumbered, go for the leader. But to Captain Thylan, the human ship was making an unprovoked attack on a peaceful vessel. The humans were accelerating directly toward them with no warning and no explanation. This was exactly the kind of aggressive behavior that the Federation had been warned about in their historical records. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Thalan ordered, the human vessel is attacking. The Federation ships scattered in all directions, their elegant formations breaking apart as they fled from the approaching human ship. To the Nexari, this was the logical response to an unprovoked attack. They were not warriors, and they had no desire to fight, but to Jake, their retreat confirmed his suspicions. The aliens had been planning something hostile, and when faced with human determination, they backed down. It was exactly what he would expect from a species that evolved to run from predators. Jake, they're retreating, Katie reported. All the alien ships are moving away from us. Good, maybe now they'll think twice before trying to surround us. Again, but the damage was done. Captain Thylan was already transmitting a report back to Federation headquarters. The humans had attacked a peaceful first contact mission without provocation. They had displayed the exact kind of aggressive behavior that the Federation feared. Control, this is Captain Thylan. First contact with the humans has failed. They responded to our peaceful approach with unprovoked aggression. The humans attacked our vessel and forced us to retreat. Recommend immediate military response. Back on Europa, the humans were celebrating what they saw as a successful first contact. They had met the aliens and shown that humanity was not defenseless. But they had no idea that their actions had been interpreted as an attack. Dr. Grant tried to establish communication with the retreating Federation ships, but they were no longer responding to transmissions. The aliens had made their decision about humanity based on those first few minutes of contact. "Jake, I think we may have made a mistake," Alex Rivera said as he watched the Federation ships disappear from their sensors. "They came here peacefully and we treated them like enemies." "They surrounded us, Alex. That's not peaceful in any military doctrine, I know, but we're not dealing with a military species. These are people who evolved to avoid conflict. To them, surrounding us might have been a way to show they were not hiding anything." Jake felt a cold knot forming in his stomach. Had they just made the worst first impression in human history? Had they turned potential allies into enemies because they could not understand each other's intentions? "ATLAS, can you intercept Federation communications? We need to know what they're reporting about this contact." The AIS response was not encouraging. The Great Assembly Hall on Concordia had never seen anything like this before. For the first time in over 200,000 years, the Galactic Federation was preparing for war. Representatives from all 12 species filled the massive chamber, their different forms of communication creating a symphony of fear and confusion that echoed off the crystal walls. Supreme Commander Vex of the Draconis Compact stood at the central podium, his massive reptilian form casting long shadows across the assembled delegates. His species had once been the galaxy's military experts, but even they had not fought a real war in countless generations. Their knowledge of battle came from history books and computer simulations, not experience. "Fellow Federation members," Vex began, his deep voice rumbling through the chamber's translation systems, "we face a threat unlike anything our civilization has encountered. The humans have returned, and they have already shown us exactly what we feared they would be." He activated a holographic display showing the encounter between Captain Thalen and Commander Morrison. The assembled delegates watched in horror as the human ship performed what they could only see as aggressive maneuvers before charging directly at the peaceful Federation vessel. "Look at these tactical movements," Vex continued, highlighting the New Horizons flight path. "No Federation species would ever fly in such a reckless manner. The humans are not just aggressive. They are tactically unpredictable. They do not follow any logical patterns of behavior." President Kala of the Nexari spoke next, her collective voice echoing from thousands of small creatures throughout the chamber. "The Nexari have analyzed the human ship's movements 2,847 times. Their tactics make no sense from a Federation perspective. They waste energy, take unnecessary risks, and seem to prefer chaos over order. That is exactly what makes them dangerous," added Chancellor Vron of the Zephyrians. "Our entire military doctrine is based on predictable, logical responses to threats. How do we fight an enemy that does not think the way we do?" Dr. Quillix of the Altarians requested permission to speak. As the Federation's leading expert on human history, her voice carried weight even in this military discussion. She flew to the center of the chamber, her graceful bird-like form moving with the elegance that all Altarians possessed. "Honored delegates," she began, "I have spent my entire career studying human civilization. What we witnessed in that encounter was not random aggression. It was tactical thinking from a species that evolved to hunt." The chamber fell silent. Dr. Quillix had always been one of the few voices calling for understanding rather than fear when it came to humans. But even she seemed shaken by what had happened. "Humans do not think defensively like we do," she continued. "When faced with a potential threat, they do not try to hide or negotiate first. They move to gain tactical advantage." What Commander Morrison did was not an attack. It was a defensive maneuver designed to prevent the Federation ships from maintaining superior positioning. "You are defending their aggression," Supreme Commander Vex growled. "They attacked Captain Thylan's ship without provocation." "No," Dr. Quillix replied firmly. They responded to what they perceived as a threatening formation. From a human perspective, Captain Thylan's communication formation would look exactly like an attack pattern. Ambassador Therix of the Altarians joined her colleague in the center of the chamber. She had been one of the strongest voices for peaceful contact with humans, but the failed first contact had shaken her confidence. Dr. Quillix is correct about human tactical thinking, Thyrex said. But that is exactly why they are so dangerous to our civilization. We have built everything around avoiding conflict and finding peaceful solutions. Humans seem to prepare for conflict even when none is intended, which is why we must act first, Supreme Commander Vex declared. Every moment we delay gives them more time to prepare whatever weapons they are building in that system. The mention of weapons caused another wave of panic through the chamber. Captain Zix-9's reports had shown increasing energy signatures. From the Sol system, the Federation's analysts had concluded that the humans must be building some kind of military installation. They were not entirely wrong. Back on Europa, Katie Bell and her engineering teams were working around the clock to improve their defenses and expand their capabilities. But they were not building weapons of conquest. They were building tools of survival for a species that found itself alone and outnumbered in a hostile galaxy. The humans are already preparing for war, Vex continued. Our intelligence shows they are expanding their base and building new technology. If we wait much longer, they may become too strong to contain. Contain? Dr. Quillix asked sharply. Are we seriously discussing genocide? Are we talking about wiping out an entire species because we are afraid of them? The word genocide sent a shock through the chamber. The Federation had prided itself on being peaceful and civilized. The idea of deliberately destroying another intelligent species went against everything they claimed to believe in, but Supreme Commander Vex was not backing down. If that species threatens the stability of galactic civilization, then yes, we must consider all options. The humans have already shown they will attack peaceful vessels. What happens when they decide they want our worlds? You are assuming the worst about them, Ambassador Thyrex argued. What if they just want to coexist? What if they are as afraid of us as we are of them? Fear does not make humans peaceful, President Kala interjected. Fear makes them more dangerous. When humans are afraid, they fight harder. The debate continued for hours, with the Federation delegates arguing over what to do about the human problem. Some called for immediate military action to contain the threat before it could spread. Others argued for more attempts at peaceful contact, but it was the Vorthic Collective that provided the most disturbing analysis. Their representative, a being of living crystal that spoke through harmonic resonance, offered a perspective that no one had considered. The Vorthic have been analyzing human technological development, the crystal being sang. Their rate of advancement is unprecedented. In just a few months since awakening, they have already begun reverse engineering Federation technology from the debris left by Captain Thylan's ships. This news sent another wave of fear through the chamber. The Federation's technological superiority was one of their few advantages over the unknown human capabilities. How is that possible? Chancellor Vron asked. It should take years to understand. Federation technology. Human minds work differently than ours, the Vorthic representative explained. They are willing to take risks that we would never consider. They experiment with dangerous technologies, they test systems beyond their safe limits, and they learn from failures that would terrify us. What you are describing is reckless and dangerous, Supreme Commander Vex said. Yes, but it is also effective. In the time it takes Federation scientists to safely study a new technology, humans could build 3 different versions and improve them through trial and error. Dr. Quillix felt a chill as she realized what this meant. If humans can adapt and learn that quickly, then time is not on our side. Every day we delay, they become stronger and more capable. Which brings us back to the same question, Ambassador. Thyrex said. Do we try to communicate with them, or do we act to stop them before they become too powerful? The chamber erupted in arguments as delegates debated the future of their civilization. Some species, like the peaceful Altarians and the cooperative Nexari, still hoped for a diplomatic solution. Others, led by the Draconis Compact and supported by the security-focused Vorthak, argued for military action. "We are forgetting something important," Dr. Quillick said when she was finally able to speak over the chaos. "The humans are not just dangerous, they might also be valuable." The chamber fell silent, shocked by this unexpected statement. "What do you mean?" Chancellor Vron asked. "Look at our civilization," Dr. Quillix continued. "For 800,000 years, we have been safe, stable, and peaceful. But we have also been stagnant. We explore only safe systems. We develop only proven technologies. We never take the risks necessary for real breakthroughs." She gestured to the star map showing Federation space. "There are entire regions of the galaxy we have never explored because they are too dangerous. There are scientific discoveries we have never made because we are too afraid of failure. What if humans could help us overcome our limitations? Or they could destroy everything we have built," Supreme Commander Vex countered. "Maybe," Dr. Quillix admitted. "But maybe destruction is not always a bad thing. Maybe some things need to be destroyed before something better can be built." The debate raged on, but the vote was inevitable. Fear won out over curiosity, caution over courage. By a narrow margin, the Federation Council authorized the mobilization of the largest military fleet in galactic history, but even as they prepared for war, doubts remained. Some delegates wondered if they were about to make the biggest mistake in Federation history. Others worried that they were becoming the very thing they had always feared, an aggressive species, willing to destroy others to protect themselves. Supreme Commander Vex was given command of the Federation fleet with orders to contain the human threat by any means necessary. The fleet would consist of ships from all 12 species. Dr. Lisa Grant stood in the expanded laboratory on Europa, surrounded by pieces of Federation technology that Katie Bell's team had salvaged from the debris left by Captain Thyland's ships. For 3 weeks, human engineers and scientists had been working day and night to understand the alien technology. "This is incredible," Katie said, holding up a crystalline device that pulsed with soft blue light. "Their power systems are completely different from ours. They use some kind of harmonic resonance instead of fusion reactions. Can we adapt it to our systems?" Jake Morrison asked. The military commander had been pushing everyone to work faster ever since Atlas detected the massive Federation fleet heading toward their system. "We're trying," Katie replied. "But human technology and Federation technology are built on completely different principles. It's like trying to mix oil and water." Alex Rivera looked up from the communication equipment he had been studying. "I think I'm making progress with their language systems. The translation technology is amazing. It can handle dozens of different alien languages at once." "That's great, Alex, but we need weapons and shields, not translators," Jake said. "Atlas estimates that Federation fleet will be here in less than 2 weeks." "Jake, maybe we don't need to fight them," Lisa said quietly. "Maybe we need to try talking to them again. The last time we tried talking, they ran away and came back with an army." Lisa knew Jake was right, but she also knew that fighting the entire Federation was impossible. Even if they managed to win one battle, there were billions of alien ships out there. Humanity's only hope was to find a way to make peace. "Atlas, have you been able to intercept any more Federation communications?" "Yes, Dr. Grant. The Federation fleet is being led by Supreme Commander Vex of the Draconis Compact. Their orders are to contain the human threat by any means necessary." "Any means necessary," Jake repeated grimly. "That sounds like they're planning to wipe us out?" But Alex had been studying the alien communication systems more carefully than anyone else. As a diplomat, he was trained to listen for hidden meanings and unspoken messages. What he had discovered in the Federation transmissions was surprising. "Lisa, I think we might be misunderstanding the situation," Alex said. "I've been analyzing the Federation's internal communications, and they're not as united as we thought." "What do you mean?" "There's a group of Federation species that voted against military action. They're led by someone called Dr. Quillix of the Altarians. She's been studying human history for hundreds of years, and she thinks we might be valuable." Allies instead of threats. Jake looked skeptical. So there are some aliens who don't want to kill us. That's nice, but it doesn't help us if their military is still coming to destroy us. Actually, it might help more than you think, Alex continued. Dr. Quillix has been trying to contact us directly. Her messages are being hidden inside the official Federation communications. Lisa felt a spark of hope. Can you respond to her? I think so, but we need to be careful. If the Federation military finds out she's talking to us, it could make things worse for everyone. While the humans worked on understanding Federation technology and trying to establish secret communications, the Federation fleet was having problems of its own. Supreme Commander Vex had assembled ships from all 12 species, but getting them to work together was proving impossible. The Nexari collective wanted to approach in perfect formation, using their hive mind to coordinate every movement. The Draconis Compact preferred aggressive tactics that would intimidate the humans into surrender. The Altarians kept suggesting that they should try peaceful contact first. This is chaos, Vex growled to his staff. How are we supposed to fight an enemy when we can't even agree on how to approach them? Admiral Zix-9, the Vorthak captain who had first detected human activity, offered his analysis. Commander, perhaps the problem is that we are trying to fight like humans when we are not humans. We are prey species. We should use our strengths, not try to copy theirs. What are you suggesting? We surround them completely. Use our numbers to make resistance pointless. Show them that fighting is futile and they will have to negotiate. It was a reasonable plan from a Federation perspective. Overwhelming force, used to prevent conflict rather than cause it. But Vex was worried that humans would not respond logically to superior numbers. Meanwhile, Alex Rivera had managed to establish contact with Dr. Quillix. The Altarian scientist was transmitting from her personal ship, which was following the Federation fleet but staying out of communication range with the other vessels. Dr. Rivera, Dr. Quillix's translated voice came through the speakers. I am grateful that you responded to my messages. I have been trying to prevent this conflict, but I fear I am running out of time. Dr. Quillix, we appreciate your efforts, but we're not sure what we can do to stop your fleet from attacking us. That is what I wanted to discuss with you. My analysis of human history suggests that your species is capable of things that the Federation cannot understand. You take risks, you adapt quickly, and you find solutions that we would never consider. Alex looked at Lisa, who was listening to the conversation. What kind of solutions are you thinking about? I believe that both humans and the Federation need each other, but neither side understands why yet. The Federation has become too cautious and safe. We have stopped growing and exploring. Humans could help us overcome our limitations. And what could the Federation offer us? Lisa asked. Resources, technology, and access to the galaxy? You have the spirit of exploration that we have lost, but you lack the infrastructure to reach the stars. Together, we could accomplish things that neither of us could do alone. It was an interesting idea, but Alex knew it would be hard to convince either side. Dr. Quillix, how do we prove to your people that we're not a threat? By showing them that you are not trying to conquer the galaxy. My research suggests that humans are natural explorers. Is that correct? Lisa thought about the human drive to explore and discover new things. Even after 1,000,000 years in cryosleep, their first instinct had been to learn about their new situation and plan for the future. Yes, that's true. Humans have always wanted to explore and find new places to live. Then perhaps that is the solution. The Federation controls about 40,000 star systems, but there are millions of unexplored systems beyond our borders. We have been too afraid to explore them because they are dangerous and unknown. Alex began to see where this was leading. You're suggesting that humans could explore those dangerous areas while the Federation provides support. Exactly. Humans get new worlds to settle, and the Federation gets access to resources and discoveries that we could never obtain safely on our own. It was a brilliant solution, but there was one problem. The Federation fleet was almost at the Sol system. And Supreme Commander Vex was not known for changing his mind once he had made a decision. Dr. Quillix, how do we convince your military commander to listen to this plan? We need to show him that cooperation is more valuable than conquest. And we need to do it before the shooting starts. As the Federation fleet entered the Sol system, both sides prepared for a confrontation that neither really wanted. The humans had spent weeks trying to defend themselves against impossible odds. The Federation had spent months preparing to fight. An enemy they did not understand, but Dr. Quillix and Alex Rivera had been working on a different approach. Instead of preparing for war, they had been planning for peace. When Supreme Commander Vex's fleet arrived at Europa, they found something unexpected. Instead of a military base preparing for war, they discovered a construction site. The humans were building something, but it was not a weapon. What are they constructing? Vex asked his sensors officer. It appears to be some kind of exploration vessel, Commander, much larger than anything we have seen them build before. Jake Morrison opened communications with the Federation fleet. But instead of threats or demands, he made an offer that surprised everyone. Supreme Commander Vex, this is Commander Morrison of the human settlement. We know you're here to deal with what you see as a threat, but we want to propose something different. Human Morrison, you are in no position to make proposals. Surrender now, and we will consider allowing your species to survive. Commander Vex, Lisa Grant's voice came through the communication system. We don't want to fight you. We want to leave. The simple statement caused confusion throughout the Federation fleet. Leave? Where would they go? We know that the Federation controls this part of the galaxy, Lisa continued. But there are unexplored regions beyond your borders, dangerous places that your people are too cautious to investigate. We want to go there. Alex Rivera joined the conversation. We've been in contact with Dr. Quillix of the Altarians. She believes that humans and the Federation could help each other. You need explorers who are willing to take risks. We need the resources and support to reach new worlds. Supreme Commander Vex was silent for a long moment. This was not what he had expected. The Federation had prepared for war, but the humans were offering to leave peacefully. You would abandon this system, leave Federation space entirely? If you help us build the ships we need to reach the unexplored regions, yes, we have no interest in conquering your worlds. We want to find our own.